Welcome to the Health Angle Podcast with Dr. Mike Headlee and Dr. Gordon Fimreite, where we'll be exploring different angles of health to achieve the best version of yourself. Now here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Gordon.
Welcome everybody. I am Dr. Mike Headlee and with me is Dr. Gordon Fimreite. Welcome, Dr. Gordy.
Hey, Dr. Mike, and welcome everybody to the Health Angle Podcast. Today's podcast is the case against soft drinks. So we're going to talk, what is it about soft drinks that probably a lot of people may not be aware of? So we're going to dive into that subject. And by the way, each week on the Health Angle Podcast, we pick a different health subject and explore it with a goal for you to optimize your health. And we'll give you tips along the way. So with that said, welcome to this week's episode of the Health Angle Podcast.
I'm excited about this one because I haven't dove into the literature in a while. I hear rumblings all the time. And I'm going to tell you this, Dr. Gordy, one of my goals for the rest of my life is, I'm not a purist, but I don't know if I'll reach this, but my goal for the rest of my life is never to drink a colored soft drink, cola, Dr. Pepper, etc. That's my goal.
I think most people listening to that, Mike, are going to go, I think I'm going to join you after hearing what we're about to talk. And by the way, just so the audience knows, we don't collect on what we're going to talk about. But I love it, Mike, because each week we'll talk about a subject, we do our own research, and we present it. And the most pertinent stuff, we might have some overlap, and that's okay because people get the double dosage. So I'm looking forward to what you have to say. So go ahead and start us out.
I get a newsletter every day from a doctor I've followed for 25 years, and approximately a third of the time, maybe even almost half the time, we decide, ahead of today, we decide, let's talk about soda. It's a bigger deal than we probably realize. Today in that newsletter, I got this that I'm going to share with. And so a third to half the time, I get in that newsletter the topic that we're going to talk about. So it's just pretty interesting to add more. This is a summary actually of all, I've got 8 papers here. What is it possibly 8 papers? That's a lot of information to talk about soft drinks and sodas and whatever. But here, Dr. Gordy, more than 63% of U.S. adults drink at least one sugar-sweetened beverage daily. Wow. Rapidly disrupting gut bacteria, weakening immune defenses, and damaging the gut bacteria at a genetic level.
Wow.
Researchers found that the sugar in soda flips bacterial DNA switches within days, changing immune signals and gut wall strength, but stopping sugar reverses these effects quickly. Let me read that again. Stopping sugar reverses these effects quickly. Artificial sweeteners and diet sodas that alter gut microbalance as well, lower diversity and promote inflammatory bacteria, harming immunity and metabolism, even without sugar or calories. Inorganic phosphate in soda absorbs into the bloodstream nearly 100%, spiking hormones that deplete calcium, suppress vitamin D, stress the kidneys, and harden the arteries. Sugar and phosphate together create a rapid, sustained metabolic storm, undermining gut health, hormone balance, and cardiovascular function from multiple angles all at once. And so we're going to dive deep into some of those things. But just from that alone, my goal, again, is not to have any more soda the rest of my life.
Admirable. And I think I'm right with you with that, Mike. So I'm going to go through just 6 points, maybe 5, we'll see. But the first one is artificial sweetened drinks may accelerate cognitive decline. So what do I mean by that? I think just about everybody has a loved one or a family or a friend that has succumbed to cognitive impairment. So even mild cognitive impairment, it's affecting 1 in 5 people over 65 years of age. And out of that, 10 to 15% of that group will progress to dementia every year. And that's from an Alzheimer's Association and the CDC. A large Brazilian study conducted on a pretty large group, 12,800 people over an 8-year period, found that people with high consumptions of low to no calorie sweeteners, like those we find in soft drinks, had a significant faster decline in cognitive functions like memory ability or even ability to verbalize. That's significant. That was from The Guardian, and that's a respected journal. So why does this matter? Many assume that diet sodas are harmless and harmless for the brain since they lack sugar. But the reality of it, in fact, that sweeteners themselves have effect on, you just mentioned it, Mike, the gut microbiome. So there's a gut-brain axis, and there's also metabolic pathways. In other words, our metabolism is affected through this fake sugar, and also the neuron signaling right in the brain itself. But going back to the gut health, Mike, we talked about this in several podcasts, how important the gut health is, not only to the brain, but to your immune system. And we talked about this, 70% of immune function starts right there in the gut. Really important. So that's my first one. And this really hits home to me because my father ended up developing Alzheimer's. And we don't know why. Was it heredity? We don't know. I do know that he drank a diet soda or at least one a day, Diet Coke, one per day, if not more. I think he was drinking more. After he retired, particularly, it was always full of soda pop. And unfortunately, could have that been a cause? Maybe. I mean, he was spraying the garden because he had a greenhouse hobby. Maybe he was spraying the garden and maybe the spraying had an effect, trying to manage some of the microbes on the plants. Who knows for sure? But if you could just do one thing to help your cognitive function as we mature, among other things, as far as preventative that we will talk about here coming up, all to you. I think it's fantastic. And most people I know, Dr. Mike, when they switch over their sodas for example, water, they start to feel better. They start to function better. They sleep better. They have more energy. There's a lot of positive effect.
Yeah, I mean, artificial sweeteners cause DNA damage. Okay, interfere with normal activity in the gut, like you said, making it difficult for beneficial bacteria to communicate, grow, and reproduce. There's just no positive indication that you should be using in diet sodas, whatever. So, Dr. Gordy, do you think your dad drank it for 20, 30 years potentially or whatever, or
Good
quite a
chance,
while? Yeah.
Mike, good chance. And I
Yeah.
do think since he was out in the garden and, it gets hot in the summertime and he put in long hours. He loved it. He was there for 8 to 10 hours. I'm certain that he drank more than one diet soda per day.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. And it probably was a good 20 years. Hard to know. I can't particularly say, yes,
Yeah.
that was a cause and effect. But some of the studies that show you can't dismiss it either.
For sure. And a lot of people go by the bucket toxicity kind of theory. So we can have the sodas and the sodas and the sodas, and we're slowly filling up this bucket full of toxins and aspartame. And well, geez, we're doing okay. We're doing really good. We're actually thriving. We're really mentally and physically, and we're looking good and acting good. But we keep drinking and filling up the bucket with toxins, and then all of a sudden, that bucket gets right to the level and starts to spill over, and our body can't adapt anymore. And bang. It's probably like smoking too. There's a lot of people smoke 10, 20, 30 years and thought they were okay. And then all of a sudden, boom, COPD and asthma and
Yeah.
lung cancer and all that stuff. Our body is really, really tough and can adapt really well, but it can only handle so much toxic burden.
Yeah, and there's so many things coming from us all direction. You've got electromagnetic waves passing through us every day. Your body has to handle that. You inevitably eat unhealthy foods and processed foods. That has to be handled by the body. So it's coming from every angle. So it's tough. I always said, Dr. Mike, it's hard to be healthy in today's society. You really have to work on it. And it doesn't come easy. You really have to kind of take a proactive stance. For you and I, this is kind of a hobby, and it's actually fun because you can always pick areas and avenues that you can improve on. And if that's, a goal is just to improve one thing every other week or every other month, at the end of a year, that can be quite a significant change.
Yes, I agree, Dr. Gordy. And I talk about low-hanging fruit in my office sometimes. I said you have to do the obvious and the simple and the really, really effective habits, and one of them is drinking the water. And you're really good with teaching about hydration and purity of water, and substitute that with poisonous chemicals in these liquid cancer cans or liquid Alzheimer cans and stuff. You have to really, really, you know, draw a line in the sand and say, this is serious. What am I going to do? Get help if you need. If you're addicted and you're craving it, you have to get some help on this. This is a game changer. Here's what I typed in an AI engine this week, Dr. Gordy. Do soft drinks reduce your lifespan? Here's what I got. Increased risk of early death from drinking soda. A large-scale study involving over 450,000 people found that drinking 2 or more sodas per day, whether sugar-sweetened or artificially sweetened, was associated with a higher risk of death from all causes, especially cardiovascular and digestive diseases. Number 2, loss of life minutes per drink. Research from the University of Michigan estimated that drinking a single can of Coke or Dr. Pepper could shave off 12 minutes of your life. So obviously, drinking 2 cans of soda, losing 24 minutes per day, potentially adds up to years in your lifetime. Number 3, ultra-processed food. Soda is considered an ultra-processed food, and high intake of such foods has been linked to increased risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, depression, and even more. So why is it so harmful? The sugar overload. High sugar intake contributes to insulin resistance, inflammation, and fat accumulation. And then the diet sodas disrupt metabolism, DNA, increase hunger, negative effects, and wrecks your gut. So it's out there. It's just not on TV and magazines and mainstream.
Wow. My second one, Dr. Mike, is soft drinks can raise blood pressure. I know a lot of people think, oh, if you have a weight problem or a body mass index, in other words, you're obese, that can spark high blood pressure. But soft drinks can independently raise that blood pressure regardless if you're obese or not. In fact, they did a study, and this was 1,300 people. That's a pretty large study for over 10 years, and that's a pretty long period of time. They found that increasing soft drink intake is associated with measurable increase of blood pressure. Those that maintained zero soft drinks, in other words, they didn't drink anything over 10 years, had a noticeably lower diastolic pressure versus those that drank soda pop. And that was in a Biomed Central journal, so they're pretty prevalent. Why this is subtle but important: even small increases in blood pressure across the population can raise the risk of stroke, heart disease, etc. Many people think that high sugar or high calories equals weight gain, which equals hypertension or high blood pressure. But this study proves on the contrary. It can be as simple as drinking all that soda pop.
You know, phosphate-loaded sodas hammer your metabolism harder than sugar. A single can of cola floods your system with nearly 100% absorbable inorganic phosphate. It triggers hormonal shifts that disrupt vitamin D, calcium balance, and kidney function. And so, unlike natural sources, phosphate additives in soda are rapidly absorbed and bypass digestive safeguards, placing a silent burden on your kidneys and arteries with every sip. So what do we do? What are some solutions? Well, replace soda with sparkling citrus water, magnesium glycinate, vitamin K2. It helps support your bones, protects your heart, and reverses the silent damage phosphate leaves behind. And I drink some collagen with electrolytes in it. Sometimes I put some tinctures that I made in it. What I've been doing in the afternoon, I put a pinch of Baja Gold sea salt with some lemon or lime for my electrolyte mineral drink. Just anything but soda.
Great information, Mike. So my next one is acidity and other ingredients can damage your teeth, even without sugar. So sodas, both sugary and diet, are acidic. They have phosphoric acid, which you just talked about, that fights for binding sites and for the calcium. And people with osteopenia or the brittle bone disease, That's a big problem. Should not be drinking pop if you have brittle bones or osteopenia, osteoporosis. Besides phosphoric acid, citric acid is also, and this demineralizes your teeth, the enamel particular, even sugar-free or low sugar. So sodas can have an erosion effect, and this is often overlooked. Most health advice focuses on the sugar aspect causing cavities, but the acidic alone can gradually erode that enamel, making teeth more sensitive or prone to decay, even in people who would otherwise have healthy mouths. I'm going to dive into the next one here and just go over just the summary. A Harvard data showed that drinking 2 or more servings a day of soda pop, sugar sweetened beverages, is associated to 31% higher risk of early death from cardiovascular disease compared to the infrequent consumption, people who are less prone to be drinking any soda pop at all. And that comes from a Harvard study. So people often assume that occasional soda is fine, but studies show that even one a week aren't risk-free in many studies. So get rid of, just like what you're going to do, Dr. Mike, probably a good call to just completely eliminate soft drinks from your diet altogether.
Yeah. There's just so many alternatives today, whether you like a kombucha or specialty teas, and there's just no reason to have it. And like I started off, 63% of the population drinks at least one. That's well over half drinks at least one soda a day. So that's just too much. I mean, that's just too much. So drinking soda raises diabetes risk even without weight gain. This one kind of shocked me. Drinking just one sugary beverage a day increases your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 25%, even if you're not overweight. Boys who consume daily sugar drinks in childhood showed a 34% rise in insulin resistance by age 17, along with higher fasting glucose levels. And so unlike glucose, which is used by every cell in your body, fructose is processed only by your liver. And in excess, it gets turned into fat, driving fatty liver disease and insulin resistance. So what's a better option? Fructose from whole fruit is not harmful because it absorbs slowly because of the fiber and the nutrients in the fruit. But processed fructose in soda, including high fructose corn syrup, floods your liver and overwhelms your mitochondria. So that's people get that boost of energy in the morning, but then they crash. And they're either eating or drinking more, and it's just a treadmill that they can't get off. And so just replacing one daily soda with water, coffee, or tea reduces your risk of type 2 diabetes by 17%.
Wow,
Make it one of the easiest and most effective preventative strategies. Just do it.
Good advice, and I couldn't agree more. I'm going to go over my last two, Dr. Mike.
Okay.
So soft drink consumption is linked to poor nutrient intake. And there's actually analysis of 88 studies found that those that drink more soft drinks tend to have lower intakes of milk, calcium, and other nutrients. And that's from PubMed. And why does this matter? Because over time, deficits of calcium, etc., other nutrients can lead to weaker bones, osteoporosis, and also affect the muscle and the heart, among other organs. And then the last one I hear is possible chemical and contaminant risks. So beyond the sugar and calories, that kind of what we've been talking about, and although rare, there are risks from the additives and preservatives. For example, benzene formation, which is soft drinks that use benzoic acid, it's a preservative, plus ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. Under certain conditions in its production, it can create benzene, and this is a known carcinogen. In other words, cancer causing. So that's my part, and that is huge. And that alone would be a reason to stay clear of soda pops in general. And for me, Mike, my go-to beverage, I like Ultra Replenisher, and it's electrolyte drink, and you get it in different flavors. So if I feel like I'm thirsty or I want a flavored drink of some sort, I'll take my orange flavored Ultra Replenisher, and you get all the nutrients and as far as electrolytes, and it tastes good, and I feel refreshed and rejuvenated after drinking that. So that's my advice: is go healthy, or go home.
I like it, Dr. Gordy, because that nourishes your body and replenishes and fills up versus robbing and stealing and damaging and it just making you wanting more and craving and addicting. That's just smart though, and
Hmm.
it's not depriving yourself because you look forward to that. It's tasty and you feel great afterwards, and then there's no crash or there's no guilt or you don't have to like I wonder if this is going to cause cancer. I wonder if this is going to cause me diabetes or my dementia, early dementias. No, you don't have any of those risks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more,
I
Dr.
love
Mike.
it. I love it. So my
Yeah.
last bit is do the chemicals that turn soda brown also cause cancer? That's an interesting question. Soda is bad for your health, but it may even be worse than you thought. According to the Center for Science in the Public Interest, the caramel coloring used in Coke, Pepsi, and other sodas is carcinogenic.
Yeah.
The artificial brown coloring is made by reacting corn sugar with ammonia and sulfites under high pressure and at high temperatures. This produces the chemicals 2-methylimidazole and 4-methylimidazole,
Can
which
you say
has
it
been
again?
found to cause lung, liver, thyroid cancer in lab rats and mice. Just don't
Yeah.
put that stuff in you. If you want a soda, you can have sparkling water and beverages and fruity drinks and kombucha, and you can have some stuff once in a while.
Yeah.
Just cut the cord and do not funnel more money into Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah, if you read the ingredients and you see ingredients that you can't pronounce, you can't read, you don't know what it is, you can't understand, that's a good reason that probably not the best and healthiest drink. And Dr. Mike, you and I have recommended this app before, and it's called Yuko, and it ranks drinks and beverages as well as foods and some cleaning products on a scale of 1 to 100. 100 is the healthiest that you can get. 0 is stay free and clear. And I love the app because it tells you why it's good or bad. And it just gives a little, little insight. Maybe there's preservatives and it gives you a little more information. So if you look at some of the beverages and you scan that app, scan the barcode that app will give you a lot of information. It might be a good way to find a replacement for the current soda pops that you're drinking into something a little more healthier than that.
Gordy, I was in a hospital here recently, and we can talk about it at another time in another podcast. Long story short is they gave me some samples of treats and snacks. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll have a snack, whatever. One of them was Rice Krispie Treats Original
Wow.
with the Rice Krispie people on top. Where I grew up, my mom made some Rice Krispies once in a while, whatever. So Rice Krispie, so has that light blue wrapper.
Yeah.
So I got my Yuka app out and I scanned it. Guess how many points out of 100 it registered?
So if 100 is the healthiest and 0 is that's more or less poison, let me guess, 25? 0.
Zero. Zero.
In a hospital.
I was I was in a store not too long ago also, and I just scanned a random cereal. I can't remember the name of it. It doesn't really matter. So I scanned the cereal. It was 1 out of 100. I go, oh, I'll never beat 1 out of 100, but I did. Rice Krispie, and they're giving it to people in hospitals.
Wow.
Here, have a snack. It's 0 out of 100. Do you have anything with 50? That's still bad.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't make that up, Gordy. You can
that
just
is
scan it,
unbelievable.
Scan
Yeah.
it. It says 0 out of 100.
Yeah, that is that, especially in an institution, you're supposed to be healing. You're supposed to be getting the most highest nutrients so your body internally can heal from within.
Yeah.
And wow, if you're not getting that through foods that are just filling you with no nutritional value. In fact, your metabolism in your body has to process that stuff, which takes up more energy, and that metabolic rate for healing is being taken away from healing to process to get that out of your system get it through your system. Yeah, that's sad. That's
So next
unbelievable.
time I'm in a store, I'm gonna scan a couple sodas, the Cokes and the Pepsis, just to see if they're minus 100. I'm not sure what they'll register, but I'm kind of curious.
I
I've
am
never,
too. I never thought of that. Yeah.
yeah. So let's scan. Yeah, if you're, scan a 12 pack of Coke or whatever if you're around it.
Maybe for our listeners, that will be their homework take the Yuka, download it. It's free. And then from there, you can take the scanner and scan a soda pop and see what you come in with. And better yet, tell us in the comment what your numbers ended up being.
Absolutely. That's your homework. And so we end our podcast with, what's your number one takeaway that you can share with a coworker that may be drinking soda and have a conversation? What's your number one takeaway that you can share with them? And you know they're drinking too much soda, and share this podcast with them and see what they say. And then what's your number one action step? Are you going to take Gordy's advice and get the Yuka app and scan some of your beverages and or sodas and your Rice Krispie treats and other things like that to see just how healthy or how unhealthy they are? So let us know in the comments. I'm curious to see what soda ranks on the Yuka app.
Great stuff, Dr. Mike. And I want to just say thank you for joining us here on the Health Angle podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast. Please like our content and hit that notification bell. And also, not only are we available with this podcast here on YouTube, but we also have our podcast on Rumble as well as Spotify. So join us there. Next week, we'll have another health subject. And until then, we will see you then on the Health Angle podcast.
Thank you for joining us on the Health Angle podcast. Please subscribe to our channel and catch us for our next episode.